quickly. Yeah, it sounds great. Sounds great. And I need just 30 seconds for my Facebook to realize that I'm transmitting live because it's kind of dumb. It takes about 30 seconds to understand that things are going on. And I need to go there and make it public, otherwise people can't see. Let's see.
Is it visual as well as audio?
Well, for us, for the two of us, if you do that, you're gonna see some delay, a little bit of delay, because of the way the StreamYard works. So it's best for us that we stay on StreamYard and then let the Facebook there, because everybody's seeing everything that we are seeing. Okay, that's what they're seeing on Facebook. So, good afternoon, everyone. As I told you, here is Barry Green. Just a few words in Português, Barry. Gente, então, tá aqui Barry Green comigo. A gente vai começar... Opa, deixa eu ver se ele... just a sec, Barry. Not sure if they... Okay, we're public. Ok. Como eu prometi para vocês, aqui está o Barry Green, que ontem teve um problema de troca de horário mesmo, se confundiu, está aqui hoje para conversar com a gente. Então, a partir de agora, bom, já introduzi ontem, quem quiser saber mais detalhes sobre a história, sobre o Barry Green, pode olhar no link que eu coloquei, ou pode ouvir a live de ontem. A partir de agora, então, a gente vai em inglês, tá bom? So, Barry, it's great to have you here, and it's an honor, and then I'm very glad we get
Sonia.
We get to know each other for such a long time and being cooperating in different things around the bass world. And I'm very, very happy that you can talk to us today about this.
It's my honor and my pleasure.
Yeah. So I've been telling people for this last few days about the way the inner game basically changed the way I look at the music, at the psychology of music. And in 1993, when we first met at Interlock, and that's when I bought the book, I think it was the first edition, I'm not sure.
It sure was.
Yeah. And then I was telling people yesterday about all those exercises with self one and self two and the things that you do with classes, and the way that changed the way you think of yourself on stage. Can you tell us a little bit of how this changed you, like doing this work with classes and students all this time?
That's an interesting question. Often when I play in public, people know me having written the inner game, so they think that I would have nerves of steel and I would be the perfection. And my defense is that I couldn't possibly write a book about anxiety unless I experienced anxiety myself, just like everyone else does. And so that is something that we all have to accept, that what we hear in terms of interference is we're going to hear throughout our life. The question is, how do we manage that interference? What tools do we bring to changing our concentration from listening to an inner voice that inhibits what we play and puts doubt and fear in our minds, and replace that inner voice by amplifying the sound of the music that we're actually playing, so that the music drowns out what we call the shouts or the inner voice, or that voice that's telling us all these things that distract us from the music. And it's very, very simple. I like to say the inner game can be reduced to 4 words: turn up the music. So if we make the music louder, then we drown out the shouts, which is the inner voice or the confusion or all of the distractions that make us less than what we can be.
Yeah. in a certain way that relates to the way we focus, like it's like the way you focus your attention on details of what you do, and then don't let space for things that you don't need to think about when you're playing.
Absolutely. And the skills of the inner game are all about music. The 3 skills that we want to master for our concentration, to use those skills of attention, have no voice to them. They only have sound. It's sound of paying attention to what we hear. We call those techniques awareness techniques, just listening, just feeling, just noticing what's going on. There's commitment techniques, which only remind us what is it that we're doing, how the music goes, and how we are going to play this on a bass or a flute or in an orchestra or in a chamber group. We have a sense of the way the music goes. And if we forget the tempo or we forget the style, that's going to be an environment where that voice could come in and distract us very easily. And the third technique of the inner game, the 3 windows or the 3 avenues of musical concentration, we call trust techniques, which have to do with what inspires the music, what is the character of the music. It's better to trust the beauty, or to trust the calmness, or to trust the excitement of music, rather than a series of black semiquavers or 16th notes on the page, which is very intimidating, instead of it being a conversation between 2 voices, or being a lullaby, or being something that truly inspires the music. So these 3 skills make up the menu for our attention, which is all about music, and everything else that has words to it, we attempt to push out of our concentration and amplify instead those 3 areas which are only about music.
Okay, someone.
It's very simple, actually.
Yeah, and it's simple, but not always as simple when we are on stage, right? We gotta. That's why I think inner game is so important, because we get practice that. Somehow we do.
That's
practice.
True. It is. It's true. It is a discipline. The ability, knowing what to do is simple. Being able to do it and having the discipline to change your attention from listening to one thing which sounds very loud and very intimidating and very frightening, and something else which is our choice as to what's going on into the music, that takes concentration, that takes discipline. And the more we do that, the better and the more confident we can be at making those good choices. The challenge of the inner game is in direct relationship to how strong the distraction is. In other words, if you're playing a recital on stage for your graduation, or you're doing a dissertation, or you're doing a very big performance, which you've been working for an entire year, the stakes, the conditions are very high. When you're playing by yourself in the comfort of your own home, your challenge to concentrate is much lower level, or playing for friends, or playing in a rehearsal. But the technique of what we have to do remains exactly the same, no matter whether the competition is very high and the conditions are the greatest, where the distraction is very, very loud, as they're identical to when we have very little distraction. It's always about the music. It's not so easy, though. We compare it to sports. If you play golf, I'm sure in South America and Brazil, when we make a simple putt, which might be 2 or 3 meters from the hole, if you're just having fun and you're out there and you just hit it in the hole, and it's very, very simple. But if somebody says, well, I will give you $1 million if you make that small putt, all of a sudden you put all that money on it. It's not going to be so simple, and you might get distracted thinking about the money versus how easy it is to
in a certain way.
Simple move, and
in a certain way.
What?
Well, I was going to say,
yes.
in a certain way, what we're living these days with all those lives that we're doing, all this playing on lives all the time, it brings us some sort of this sensation of, oh, I'll give you $1 million, because it's in not such a long time ago, we would do a recording and watch it and maybe edit it or choose before you put it on. But now we turn on your cell phone, you're anywhere in the world, people are listening to you. So it's kind of $1 million on the table, right?
Right. Well, if you want to pay attention to that, yes, that makes the challenge. But we have the choice to listen to whatever we want to listen to. Another way of comparing this is when you're in a social gathering, you're in a party, and there's a lot of conversations going on around you, and then all of a sudden you hear your name. Somebody's talking about you, and it's about 10 feet away. And out of all the conversation, your name pops up into your attention, and then you could put your attention on what are they saying about you, you know. And so the same thing goes on when you hear all of this commotion in your mind, and then all of a sudden you realize, whoa, there's something more important that I need. It's the energy, and you start concentrating on that. You amplify it, you make it louder so that you could hear only what you want to do. That's an amazing thing, that the ear can discriminate, or our brain can discriminate to listen to anything in a large group setting. For example, in an orchestra, you could be where you have all the instruments playing. If you are challenged, you say, listen for the violas, or listen only to the percussion. You could tune in only that sound, and you don't have to be listening to the whole thing. Your attention may wander into various other areas, but if you say, well, I'm going to listen to the string basses, just the bass sound, and your ear can pick that out and amplify it, and you connect with it. And that's exactly what we have to do with music. When we hear something that we should not be listening to, and we want to put our attention on something that's going to be more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. And yesterday I was talking about the exercise you have in Ear in a Game. I don't have the book here on me because it's back on at the university, but it's about your worst moment on stage and your best moment on stage, and the things that people would remember from those moments. And everybody was very surprised with the results of this exercise, that the first time you do it, then you realize that it's a lot of pleasure is related to things you do not control. You actually let it flow when you're on stage. Is that something that doing that exercise, it's something that it changed a lot for me back 30 years ago, and it's to keep changing my students, because if you've never done this, you don't realize that all those bad feelings, you make them happen. It's not nobody else that put on you. It's your.
That's so true.
It's something that you bring to yourself, but we tend to think that that's something else.
It's a lot about what we call. Whoops, I lost the internet.
Yeah, you got frozen. I'm going to change the internet.
There, you're back. I lost you for a couple seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We call this empowerment, that you have the ability to choose what you want to listen to. And many times musicians don't understand that they could make that choice. Just because they hear a voice doesn't mean that they have to participate in that voice of confusion. They could choose to listen to something else. We do this often if in our spare time, in our leisure time, if you're listening to the radio or you're watching television and you don't like what you watch, what do? We change the channel. We go watch something else, or you turn it off, or you turn it down, or you turn it louder when you like it. Well, we have these same kind of choices when we're playing music, but sometimes our mind says, no, we have to do it this way, or the tradition is that you can do is walk into the fire when it's hot. You want to leave the fire. You want to leave the heat and go someplace where you're comfortable and where you can hear and where you can feel the music.
Mm-hmm. And Barry, what about this last work, the bringing music to life? I remember when you were here in Goiânia, you had that class, and here in Salvador on that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I wasn't there all the time because I was running the thing, and people won't leave me there watching your class. I saw it in the US, but not here. But can you tell us a little bit about how you make this work with both students and professional group?
Yes. Well, bringing music to life is very similar to the inner game. It's based on 3 skills, not the same skills, 3 different skills that contribute to a product, which is what we want to have happen. So with the inner game of music, the 3 skills we explained are awareness, commitment, and trust skills that we learn to master so that we reach a wonderful state of concentration. We call it relaxed concentration, so that we're both calm and at the same time we're able to bring to the moment everything that we've learned. With bringing music to life, our goal is actually energy and excitement, to make it spontaneous as if it has never happened before. So that is what we're striving for. And we do this through practice, through 3 skills, which are physical skills. So I call bringing music to life, it's the inner game for the body, because it's all about 3 physical skills of, number 1, the voice, the breath, how we control our breath and our inner voice, and how that relates to the outer voice. Skills of rhythm, which is the language of our music, is that it takes place in time. Whether we speak fast or very fast, or whether we speak very slowly, there is always a rhythm to our music. And then there's the gesture, the body energy, is how we express the body. And whether we're an actor, whether we're a dancer, whether we're an athlete or a musician, when they are in their greatest moments of expression, they are using these 3 things: their voice, the speed and the pulse of their delivery, and the gesture that they make to create the magic in music. And so we study those 3 skills, and we recognize that there's a difference when these skills are heightened or when they are silenced. If you close your body off and you just speak from your mind, then the audience only hears something in their mind. But when you speak and communicate with your entire body, your energy, and your voice has a contrast and is clear in such a way that we can connect with that, then they feel what it is that you're thinking. So we're freezing. Yes, I'm back. This is what bringing music to life is all about, how we communicate through our body, through these 3 skills. And it's very similar in terms of teaching, that we could coach in a very similar way a problem is in their mind and their concentration, then it is going to be more about clearing their mind and using inner game techniques. If the problem is in the delivery and the energy from the person, then sometimes it's helpful to go into the skills of how we use our breath, how we use the pulse, and how we use our energy.
And Alexandre Rosa, which is a bass player from the State Symphony Orchestra here, who is actually at this time in India, working on his postdoctoral program, he asks one question. Music offers all we need to play, but the great fight is still is the concentration. How to improve in this field? That's his question.
I'm sorry, the internet was sticking when you're in the middle of your question.
Well,
can you repeat the question?
How to improve in a concentration field? He is a professional player for the State Orchestra, São Paulo State Orchestra, and he's asking that the biggest challenge is still to keep the concentration. How to improve that? What would you say?
Well, a lot has to do with the commitment. What is your purpose? If you want something really badly, you will pay attention and you'll do it. If you're so easily distracted, then you're going to go with your distractions. So if it's for an orchestra rehearsal and you're having difficulty paying attention to the rehearsal and you're watching the clock as to whether you're going to get out early or not, that's not concentration in the music. And when you notice that you're in a situation where you hear things then that's something that we want to get away from. We want to get out of our head and we want to get into the experience. So we go back to playing the game of listening to the music, feeling the music, understanding, making yourself into a meaningful musical experience as opposed to a judgmental doing something. And sometimes people are making music for the wrong reasons. I mean, if they're making music to make an impression, if they're making music to make money, if they're making music for different purposes, to show what they've accomplished, that's not the same as making music for the pure sake of expressing yourself and expressing the energy of the composer or whatever it is that we're playing.
Well, Barry, we're getting to the end of our 30 minutes. We only have 5 minutes left. So I would like to just to tell everyone, because people have been asking about how to purchase your books and the recordings, and I did include on my Facebook the link for your website. But I wanted to ask you, is even in this weird moment we're going on, you guys still posting the stuff overseas? Internet's not helping today.
The Inner Game books can be purchased on Amazon online, very cheap. I mean, I could buy in America, to buy the book new in America, it costs like $25 or $26, but I can get a new copy or a slightly used copy from the library in hardback for $3 or $4. I mean, like 1/10 of the cost. There's also a European edition, which is in paperback, which is is available now online, like an English edition, and so it's very inexpensive. That's not an issue. There's a lot of articles, and I have some demonstrations on my website at innergameofmusic.com. But the internet is very present in giving us things for a lot less than walking into a bookstore when you can't afford to pay for a hardback book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
and especially the inner game.
Our university, we have our libraries here, but I'm sure Amazon is very accessible here.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's where I get them. I mean, I can buy them from the publisher for a 50% discount, but I can have a 90% discount on Amazon. So.
And is that a digital edition, like that we can purchase like online and not have any post office issues with it? No, there's no.
I mean, Music to Life is not, but the second book that I did, which is called The Mastery of Music, which we haven't really spoken about, is also on a digital form. That's based on 120 interviews on the human spirit. And that is also a digital download as well, or in paperback.
Great. We gotta think of an inner game version in Portuguese for the students to access.
Well, it's in about 10 languages, but it hasn't made it into Portuguese, unfortunately.
Is that in Spanish?
The inner game of tennis is in Spanish.
Oh yeah, well, the inner game of tennis we have it in Portuguese, but
the
not
inner game of music. It was published, but it never came out. It was like.
Well,
you know, it's interesting, the culture of South America and Mexico is it's a large population, but I've found that when I've visited those places, the consciousness and the attitude about music is very calm. It's not nearly as stressed as it is in other places, and I think that culture contributes in a very positive way to a much more healthy attitude towards maintaining your concentration. And that might be one of the reasons why it hasn't come to Spanish or to Portuguese. One of the first first foreign language was actually Dutch, but then Germany. In Germany, there's a much stricter, harder culture, and it's done very, very well there, and also in Japan and in China. And I am told that the reason it's done so well in those countries is because their tradition is primarily from the German school of education. And so while the culture may support
money, I think they have money, and South America doesn't. So.
That could be it too.
Well, Barry, would you like to say any final words? So, because we really are to 30 minutes now. So, gente, eu pedi para o Barry se despedir de vocês e aí eu vou ficar mais 2 minutinhos, tá? Go ahead.
And remember the 4 words: turn up the music. If you connect with the music, all of the answers are there. We could get more specific, but it all comes down to make the music louder than the voice that gets in the way of that. And in terms of the body and bringing music to life is that there's a direct relationship between what we see and what we feel. And when we do not have the movement and the energy from the performer, we're not going to feel that as an audience. And if we believe that we consume music so that it inspires us, that it's something that we feel, then it has to come from the performer as well. And when we feel something, we feel it with our whole mind, body, and our spirit.
Well, Barry, thank you so much. It's so good to be able to see you. It's been a long time, and I appreciate you take the time to talk to us about your work. And I'm sure people, later if you want to get into my Facebook, you can see the comments that people are doing there. But there's no many questions really. People are just saying lots of those hearts that they're enjoying a lot listening to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and it's a pleasure to share our inspiration and love of music together.
Thank you, and we'll be talking soon about other projects.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, Barry.
All right. All right. Bye now.
Bye now. Oi, gente. Então, finalmente, né? Deu certo. Espero que tenha sido legal para vocês estar lá com o Barry. E agora nós vamos... amanhã a gente volta, né, a nossa rotina, os convidados que foram anunciados vão acontecer. Eu só mudei para colocar o Barry hoje. O que eu fiz foi mudar a música de câmara de novo, porque como era uma fala minha mesmo, eu posso pôr qualquer dia, então eu passei para sábado que vem. Mas obrigado mais uma vez por vocês estarem aí, né, firme e forte. Quero parabenizar, apesar de eu acreditar que qualquer dia é dia da mãe, dia de mãe é todo dia, não precisa de um dia especial. Ela é especial o tempo todo. Minha mãe não está comigo já há 34 anos, mas não está comigo nesse plano físico, mas está lá, sempre esteve e nunca precisou esperar o Dia das Mães. Mas, como é a tradição, eu desejo um excelente Dia das Mães para todas vocês, sintam-se abraçadas e fiquem em casa, álcool em gel, que os filhos serão abraçados depois que isso tudo passar, tá bom? E hoje tem outra camiseta, ó, vou mostrar para vocês. Base One. Não vou ficar desfilando camiseta, que são muitas camisetas de baixo, eu ia ficar trocando camiseta todo dia, mas essa daqui é uma das especiais que a gente teve para o encontro de contrabaixistas no Colorado, onde um grupo de 20 contrabaixistas tocou e todos usavam essa camiseta, que é uma piada junto com... nos Estados Unidos tem o Dr. Seuss, que é um livro infantil bastante famoso, que tem uma personagem que chama Thing One, tipo coisa 1, coisa 2, coisa 3, e a gente fez isso base 1, base 2, base 3, até base 22, porque tinha 22 pessoas no palco tocando um arranjo que o Fausto Borém fez, foi muito engraçado. Mas, enfim, como tinha contrabaixista convidado, camiseta de contrabaixo. Então, thank you, Barry. Thank you so much. See, this is the Thing t-shirt in your honor. Now you can see. Ok? So, gente, tchau, até amanhã. Foi um prazer. Beijo. Bye, Barry. Bye, everyone. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.